We are live if you want to get your watch party started. So we take it from the top or just where we got dropped? Let's just jump right in because I do want to keep us good on time. But as we think through our process, there's all the things that are happening in our world today. Want to make sure that everybody is absolutely clear that we have the opportunity to win. Not everybody's losing, but there's a couple of things that we should always make sure to have in mind as we go through a process of change and getting from where we are right now to where we want to be financially. So as I share my screen, ladies, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions as we go through the process of getting your house in order. Because it's one thing to know a thing. I don't know if anybody's ever hit that financial awareness point where you knew that there was something that you didn't know and you learned something and started trying to do that new thing. Meaning, for example, when I graduated from school, I went all the way through school, through Duke University, got out in corporate America, and what I realized was my training was in engineering and computer science. But my financial success was tied to a money game that they did not teach me. Does that make sense? Meaning, when I got out into the workplace, I had a very vague idea of what credit was or what it meant. I did not know anything that I could do about my taxes. I just took it for granted once I started making checks that they just got to take what they took, and I had no idea why it was that way. And then as I started running into situations where the money I was making and bringing home from my job was too little, that I found myself in a position where now I just kept trying to make more money, not realizing that you can never fill up the bucket if there's a hole in the bottom. Can everybody relate to that?
Yeah.
Now, if you're in Zoom with me, let's talk through these things and the process together so that as we learn, as we grow, we can build our house, our financial house, and put it on solid foundation. Let me know when you can see my screen, okay?
Yes, we can see.
So here's the good news. If you found yourself in a place where the situation that I faced was similar to the ones that you face, know that you are not alone. Know that everybody in the world is running through the same financial challenges, and they're worse this year, not because this is a worse year, but because it was unforeseen. Matter of fact, as you think about the challenges that I face financially, type in the chat, let me know on your watch parties if you face these same challenges. Meaning, because of all of the things that have happened in 2020, social distancing, COVID, record unemployment, even not being able to go praise in person, have made the things that take our money away from us. And if you're taking notes, just so that you know, when the money goes away, it's not your fault. Everybody say that, write that down. It's not entirely your fault. Because if you look at those 4 challenges that we face, inflation, silent killer, makes your dollar worth less every day, higher debts, because most people don't have $500 a month in income, in savings that they can put on an emergency. So they put it on a credit card. You put that together with taxes, which are already at a record high for the United States. And believe you me, these stimulus checks that they're sending out, well, where does the money come from? That comes from our taxes. And then last but not least, you got big business, just taking the last while the savings that we put into 401ks is up and down like a roller coaster this year. Now, I'm not a gloom and doom guy. As a matter of fact, we jump on for just a few minutes at lunchtime every Friday to tackle the mindset of moving from where you are to where you want to be. And I'll bypass these statistics because we already know what's been happening for people. But just to say, let's put our financial house on a firm foundation. Does that make sense? Now, the process, and always make sure that people understand there are 3 parts to maximize the process of income shifting. And if you're taking notes on income shifting, what is income shifting? It's a set of strategies for shifting your income back to its original source, and that's you. Get your money, write that down. If I'm going to get wealthy, it starts with getting my money to make money. So how do we get your income back? Well, first we expand your cash flow. And then we build a business income, and last but not least, investment income, so that your portfolio is out earning you. So once your money is making more money than you, that creates freedom. Making sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yes.
in those three strategies, we break down over time all the things that you get to do. Today, I'm going to focus on the main key two areas, and I'll leave business income for another conversation. But the first part of our strategy is we're going to minimize your taxes, minimize your expenses, because there'll always be some expenses and taxes. We're going to minimize and then eliminate debt while at the same time increasing your credit score. Now, on the second hand, we're also going to make you tax efficient by making yourself, like, the best investment you can ever make in the whole world is in you. Y-O-U, right? Write that down. Best investment is you. We're going to make you tax efficient, being able to funnel a part of your lifestyle through a business so that you're able to write off that lifestyle. And if you choose to, make an additional income. And then the last thing that we'll do is focus on building, taking the cash flow that we have, building an asset, and then investing it so that now the money is making more money, because in America, making money is taxed less than everything. And then we get to participate in capital gains, real assets. And like I said, the most important investment in this whole process is the investment that we make in you. Does that make sense? Now,
Yes.
Monica, I think we've talked about the whole idea. The first thing that you do conceptually is make yourself the boss of a business. This is YOU Incorporated. When we look at ourselves as a business, this is called a cash flow statement, and it has two parts. Up top, it's your income. In the middle is expenses. On the bottom is liabilities, and on the left-hand side is assets. Now, I go through definition of terms, not because you don't necessarily know, but I know that when I started building my business and getting in control of my cash flow, meaning income is a measure of money. It's how much you make. You make $1 million, sky high income. $2 million in bill, half a period of cash flow, short cash flow. If you have $80,000 in income, but you have $40,000 in bills, well, your money goes twice as long as your period of increase. Am I making sense so far? So when we look at cash flow, the goal is to improve our cash flow. Now, when we look at ourselves as a business, and remember, we are a business and should treat ourselves that way. If you think about the expenses that we have in our home, some of the expenses we have, taxes, interest, food, transportation, right? At the same time, liabilities are things that you owe. Things that, matter of fact, to shorten the definition, liabilities take money out of your pocket. Make sense? So
Yes.
I know people look at this sheet and frown because they say, well, your home, the bank says your home is the biggest asset. But let me ask you a question. If right now you have a home and a mortgage, that mortgage is taking money out of your pocket. Now, eventually you'll own it, but you got to live somewhere. Your car, student loans, credit cards, am I making sense? Now, when we talk about assets, Monica, what kind of things do you see as positive assets that we can buy or build?
The first one would have been a home, I guess, after it's paid off. Anything that can appreciate with value over time, I would consider an asset. Your business could possibly be an asset.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's funny that you mention it, because we got to make sure that we do good definitions of terms for everybody listening and learning with us. To shorten the definition, we'll just go with what Rich Dad says, is that assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take things out of your pocket. So if you think about it, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, rental real estate. So income producing real estate is an asset. Am I making sense?
Yes.
And then a business, especially if you work, if you break this in your notes, if you have a job and that's your only source of income, a business, a home-based business might be the most accessible and scalable assets you can put in your portfolio. And we'll talk about that in another lesson. But as we go through, Rich Dad, in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I didn't make up this idea. When I started my financial education process, I went to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I started understanding the formula. And he says that there's pretty much 3 categories or classes of cash flow. On the left, he calls that poor, meaning you might have money coming in through a job, but if it's all going out through the expense column, meaning it goes to rent, to transportation, to food, that is the cash flow pattern of somebody that is poor. In the middle class, he says that the differentiation is that now the majority of your income goes out the expense column on liabilities, meaning you got a job, probably a good job. And with that job, they told you you could buy a house on time. So got a mortgage. Most of what goes into most mortgage payments is interest. You got taxes, credit cards, student loans, etc. And then last but not least, on the right-hand side, he says that's the income flow pattern of the wealthy, meaning they may or may not have a job, but their assets make more money than their job does, and it creates new income. Making sense? So what's the goal? If we want to get our house in order, get to the place where we're making wealth real, we got to do things one step at a time. And the first thing that we got to build, if we're building a house, is a foundation. Now, Monica, as we talk about foundation in your financial house, there are 4 things that I look for. I'll tackle one, you tackle the other, and we'll go back and forth like that. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So number one thing that you got to have is a mindset of abundance. You got to put yourself in a place where you're planning for, building for, and creating more than enough. Now, Monica, why is education important?
Well, when you know something, you can teach it and you can utilize it to improve things.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And beyond that, especially in this country, if you look at the results that we have, most people that get a full formal education have to learn the things that they learn about finances after a mistake, right?
Mhm.
Meaning,
Right.
think about it. Is there anywhere in the school system or in your university studies? Because right now, are you working on a master's? Is that what I remember?
An MBA, yes.
On an MBA. Now, throughout all that learning, one of the things that I realized was there was no Wealth 101, no Debt Elimination 202, no Success Mastery 303. Our formal education fails most people financially. And then the third thing that I think you need is that combination, a game plan, a team, and some coaches. Meaning, you got to know what step you're taking next. And in most cases, because we have been in a position where we've been undereducated so long and our days are filled with the things that we do, most people need some coaching on which moves to make at what time and in what order. So just starting with that foundation. And oh, by the way, I say build a team because it's one of the things that I've learned in life is that you'll become the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes.
So if you spend the most of your time with 5 broke, busted, disgusted people, guess who's number 6?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you surround yourself with people that are in the wealth accumulation phase, that are moving in a direction together, that drives your behavior. So second thing we need, once you get that, so once you start that process of foundation building, and I say it's foundational because without it, if you don't start on it, you don't make progress. But then once you have that, putting yourself in a position where you take practical steps. Now, the second thing you need is a written budget. And here's my goal, to live on a lower and lower percentage of my working income so that there is more income to invest. So you got to write out a budget. And I say written because it's like programming, meaning once your mind knows where everything is going, it starts to make room for what you need. So I tell people the only prescription, 80% live on it, 10% for investing, and 10% goes to God, right? But now the
Right.
next step with that 10%, the first investment that I suggest anybody makes, because people come to me all the time, Richard, I know you're an investor, you're always talking about money. Biggest investment you can make, Monica, in my opinion, is to save money until you have at least $1,000 in what I call the mini emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when things pop up, you don't have to put it on a credit card. Make sense?
Right. Yes.
Now, after that process is done, you know the next step I think is most important to take.
What is it?
Hang on, let's get this click going. You got to strategically get out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you're always eating away at the produce because there's debts taking money out the bottom, we can knock out one of the biggest expenses in our home if we're strategic and focused about the process. And then, build a true emergency emergency fund. Now, when I say true emergency fund, that means that you've got at least 3, and because of the degree of uncertainty we have right now, 6 months of your expenses in a cash equivalent. I mean, an account you can get to quickly. Now, it used to be that I kept my emergency fund in the bank, but I had some experts help me do some things that make that more, that's a lot of money to have just sitting around earning 1%. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Then invest for long-term income and then build wealth and give. Now, having the framework, and it's in order. So I don't know where you are in your financial life, but if you pick a place in the step, just make sure that the step before it is done. And if anything changes, go back to that step, but keep making progress and always, always keep increasing your financial education. Yep. Now, the second thing we talked about in that foundation was building a team. Now, I'm blessed. Monica, you and I know one another because of our partnership with MWR Financial. And a number of people have asked me now, what do I need to do? And it all depends on what you want to do. Meaning if you just want to build a business, get education, get help from the experts, and that's what I'll focus on for today and we're done. You just listen to the information, get the education. As leaders in the extra digit movement, where our goal is to put 1 digit in front of whatever your current net worth is. So if you at 600,000 now, understand what it would be like to make that $1.6 million, right?
Right.
We educate. We provide education about the things that we didn't learn in school as a supplement, and then we provide a team of experts who do nothing but help people in the areas where most people struggle. Meaning, and it's important to think about this, right? Think about this, Monica. Think about how many people spend significant ongoing money on having experts do things that are actually somewhat trivial.
Right.
I'll give you my example. Before the pandemic, I would go to the barbershop for 1 hour every week, because being bald with the full beard, that is a high maintenance job, and my barber's just better at it than I am.
Right.
Or the yard guy, right? $130 a month. His guys come like clockwork every week, just as I'm getting ready to get on a conference call or Zoom. They knock out the yard in 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, where when I was doing it would take me 4 hours because I do it infrequently, and that's not the best use of my time or my level of expertise. Making sense?
Absolutely.
So we provide a team of experts that help people in the areas where most people, again, they're doing the best they can, but they're not professionals at it.
Right.
And that's what so when you think about the Financial Edge membership, especially from a customer's point of view, we offer the 4 key basics. Depending on your level of investment and interest, is as low as $79, as much as $228 to get started with the team of experts going to work to attack the people that are attacking your money. $119 a month in maintenance, and that's less than $4 a day. And the areas we focus on, if you think about it, Monica, where do we focus in terms of membership and what we do?
We just expose.
Yep. And it's, and it's in the areas. Think about it. Most people don't know that they can get help with taxes on the front end. If you go into a battle, which is what the money game is, with a tax strategy, is much better than bringing in a professional in at the end of the process after the massaker's already occurred. Same with Credit Max. We look to increase people's credit scores, which decreases their interest rates, which also decreases their insurance premiums, lowering the cost so that they have more of their money back.
Right.
And then with Equity Max, it's our debt elimination strategy, and there are 2 components. One, we give a game plan for eliminating the things that you can pay off, and 2, we have a group negotiation initiative where we negotiate the best, the professionals, negotiate the best possible deals on bills you can never pay off, like your cable, internet, home phone, cell phone, all of those things that are going to keep having a bill. It makes sense to have as low as possible, but that way you shift your money back from the places that had it. Now the IRS doesn't get to keep your money, nor does the bank or the lender, and nor do your billers. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then the last aspect, we got comprehensive wealth consultation through Wealth Max to help people with ideas of making more money from their money. So I'm gonna just run through these things really quickly. The first thing that we do for most people, in addition to having a home-based business, is really tracking the deductions that come from buying, from having and building, and having an assistant to help with the process. But then also getting them what's called an instant pay raise. And let me come out of screen for a minute and make sure this concept is clear. See, most people in America have the document that they filled out with their employer filled out incorrectly or inefficiently. 88% according to the IRS. So our professionals look over the previous 3 years of tax returns and the incorporation of a business into your portfolio, meaning just a typical home business owner. I'm not talking about, you know, these rock stars that make 20 and 50 and upwards per month in income. I'm talking about just having a home-based business, being tax efficient for the average working person generates an extra $7,200 a year. That's $600 a month in deductions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, the second thing that we do, now that we've got you into a position where you're tax efficient, meaning you can't avoid taxes and live in America, but now bringing home more take-home pay, meaning average person that takes advantage of our instant pay raise sees anywhere from $300 to, I've seen as much as $800 per paycheck in money, getting their money back. But then the second thing we do is we get aggressive in planning for two things: debt-free and millionaire with the money you're already making. See, I know I've been in home business for a long time. Over 20 years ago was my first introduction and start into the home business arena. But this was one of the first places where customers, without generating any income, even becoming distributors, could have an analysis done that would look at their existing bills, figure out the fastest possible way to pay them off, and then also calculate if they didn't make any other money, just their money, their millionaire date. And I'm not talking about other customers using the services. I use them too, to make sure that I'm always working through the foundation. Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Second is just increasing your credit score. When your credit score goes up, cost of money goes down. Meaning, you know, I'd always had very decent credit, but once I got over 800, we were able to refinance our mortgage down to a lower interest rate, still the same payoff time, but now saving an additional $700 per month in interest expense that I had as cash flow to apply to my getting out of debt plan. Does that make sense? Now, yes. Did I make up my own getting out of debt plan? I did, but then I went back and got help from the experts. And with Equity Max, as things have paid off, as they've helped focus our process and our budget, like our written budget, part of it comes from Equity Max. We were in a position where we were going to be in debt for 24 more years. I know it was Leela and Kavi that talked about wanting to get out of student loan debt. Well, we had enough student loan debt to buy 2 more houses, and it'll be 24 years till we got it paid off. Now, with Equity Max and applying the principles, strategies, and input from the experts, we'll be debt-free in 7 years and 7 months. We'll save $276,000 in interest expense. And the most important thing is that 16 years and 6 months back from our expense cut. Make sense?
Yes, awesome.
And this, you know, again, just the idea, having experts work through the process, that last category of just getting to the place where we've got the maximum cash flow back from the places it was shifted from, is Bill Shredder, where, just like I said, they negotiate AT&T Wireless, Verizon, Comcast, all the things that can never get paid off. So that now we've got money, because that's the main thing I hear people tell me. I want to invest. I want to build generational wealth. I want to have my money making money. But by the time I get through paying all my bills, all my taxes, and all of my interest debts, I don't have any money left. So let me stop right there and make sure that part's clear. If we just focus on those 3 pillars and shifting back, that's the first shift. So everybody write, shift 1 is get my money back from the places it took it. Everybody good? Everybody good? So the next step, the next thing that we absolutely have to do is just assess where we are in our house now. Because if you think about it, if now in building that fundamental structure, we've gotten enough of our money shifted so that now we are debt free and we've got 3 to 6 months in emergency fund resources. Now we got that access to go to that next level, to start building that true emergency fund and invest for long term. Because here's the idea. The first thing that you have to do, if you choose to, is invest so that you have enough income for the rest of your life. Income is the outcome. But then beyond your life, they told me that a good man is a man that leaves a legacy for his children's children. And in that case, investing for long term, having vehicles that do better than what happens at the traditional bank. Because here's what I understood. When I graduated, that's what they told me. They said, you know, part of my high school process was adding a checking account to the savings account that I had at a traditional bank. Now, here's what you find out. In a traditional bank, you got low rates of return. Right now, savings is earning under 1%. Does anybody have greater than 1% in their savings or checking account right now in terms of interest?
Nope.
The banks, they take the money that we give and they loan it out through a process called arbitrage. Now, what does that mean? They loan the money, or in East Point, that's what we call flipping it in the street. They loan your money out to other people as mortgages and auto loans and credit cards, getting as much as 30% interest while returning less than 1%. That's why the traditional bank has the tallest building in whatever town you're in. And then when you want to get money back, even from the bank that you have your money deposited in, you got to qualify to borrow. They tell you how much interest you're going to pay, and your dollar can only do one thing at a time. What I was introduced to by our experts was the idea of a private reserve account where I could be my own bank. How many of you like the idea of being your own bank?
I like that idea.
And here's what happens. When you're your own bank, your returns are linked to the market. So that when the market goes up, you get the rate of return that the stock market indexes have. When the markets go down, there's a no loss provision, so you don't lose any money. And then the best thing is now you get to earn interest on your money when you borrow it. And here's what I mean. Let's say you put $50,000 in your private reserve account. You borrow $30,000 so that you can finance your own car loan. You pay yourself back, but the bank is still, the private reserve account is still paying you like the 50 was there the whole time, and you set the terms. And that way, now your dollar can do multiple things. Totally different concept. Wealthy people have been doing this for years because they had experts and a team to help educate on that process. Now we can too. And then the last thing I'll talk about, just in terms of what people get as offerings, is the idea of land banking. And that's just simply investing in land in the path of growth. And you know, the averages, think about real estate as an investment class. In general, real estate is less flexible, meaning there are not a lot of ups and downs in how much real estate costs. Because there's no more of it being made, real estate generally goes up in value. And right now, because we've got experts buying in the path of growth, we've been seeing double digits, 20 to 40% returns on a short holding period. So it's awesome. I got my land banking certificate right here from CalChoice for the property that we invested in Antelope Valley, California. Again, they have a profile. They survey about 9,000 properties per year, looking for places where events are driving the value of property up. Won't go into much more detail about that because I am at my time for money lunch, but did want to make sure that we talked about one more thing. If you think about all the things that we discussed, most people will have some knowledge in a place and potentially have an expert helping them with one thing. But if you want to get your house fully in order, to have expert assistance and guidance and people going through the process with you, establishing that foundation, mindset, education, game plan, and a team, building a budget that makes sure that there's more than enough, getting to the place where you got that mini emergency fund in place, where you're out of debt completely. I mean, imagine what your life would be like if you had the income you have now, but you had zero debts. Then building that true emergency fund, 3 to 6 months, followed by investing for long term. And then that last step, making sure you've got enough income for the rest of your life, but also to pour into the lives of other people. And that's our result. Income shift is simple. Once your taxes go down, your debt goes down, your interest rates go down, your expenses go down, you know what else goes down? Your level of stress. But then as your investments increase, your credit scores go up, your income goes up, and your cash flow goes up, you can't help but continue to embrace and expand the attitude of abundance. I mean, just get used to saying, I have more than enough. I'm debt free. My needs are met.
Right.
And that's what we provide. So that was a quick conversation and overview about the process. Now, at the end of these conversations, I talk to people all the time about my excitement from what I've learned. And because of that excitement, I have the opportunity to generate additional income. Just think about the watch party of the person that invited you today and decide which feels like the right thing for you to do. Because this is one of those things where I know there's all kind of things on the internet these days, Monica, you know, just somebody trying to get somebody in everything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're not trying to get anybody in anything. If you are number 3, you listen to this and found nothing of value to you, all we ask people to do is look. That's our goal, is to educate, inspire, and if people choose to get our help, to provide it. Number 2, looks at it, says, you know what, I don't know what it would take to make money with it, but I definitely want access to the team of experts. I want to go through that whole building and getting your house in order process, and I want to start on that part today. Investment for that is $79. $79 up front, $79 a month. Cancel at any time that you don't think you're getting value, but here's what I know. Just this process, I look at my income shift from my job made $1,200 additional cash flow for my initial investment, just from taxes. But then with the interest process, we're able to knock out $50,000 in credit card debts. We're now on track to be debt-free, saving $276,000 in interest.
Amazing.
And we added $700 in cash flow because our credit scores went up. And most importantly, we're able to take those savings and shift them to wealth so that we'll get to that goal of house in order faster than ever.
Terrific.
So do you think I'm ever going to stop? It's month to month. You can cancel whenever. And then last but not least, there's that category of people that says, I like what you said about making money with my money, but I need to earn some additional income. Now, it does cost more, but get together. Send an inbox message to the person that you are on their watch party for, or that invited you to the Zoom today, and let them know, I want to make the money. Show me the rest of the money so that we can turbocharge all the rest of the things that our experts help us do. Deal? So let them know. 3, thanks, but no thanks. Hey, it's our blessing to just pass on the information. Number 2, I got questions, we got answers, and also we can help you get set up today to come out of this situation better than we went in, because that is how we get our house in order.
Yep.
All right, from the room in Zoom, any questions? Anybody have anything else they want to share? Well, this is Richard Harden, Birdie and Richard's biggest baby boy. It's been my plum pleasing pleasure, as well as my privilege, to share the secrets to getting not just through this time, but thriving through this time. Happy lunch.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.